If you have been waiting for VR tech to mature before diving in, you may want to rethink that because the Meta Quest 3 is changing the game with huge, and I do mean huge, upgrades in processing power, resolution, system memory, and features over the last generation. The Meta Quest 3 delivers a stunning and completely wireless experience for virtual reality and more. And thanks to MetaQuest and Newegg for sponsoring this video, we're going to talk about all that and more right now, right here on Robeytech. Yeah! Whether you're an early adopter, VR savvy, or if you're starting to entertain the idea of it, the Meta Quest 3 is a compelling upgrade or a gateway into entering the world of VR. It's been 3 years since the release of the Meta Quest 2, a headset Tom's Hardware calls one of the most versatile gaming headsets ever, and PC Mag called it a breath of fresh air with strong performance and standalone functionality. And some guy in the mall called it better than burritos on Tuesday. I'm not sure where the dude's getting his burritos from or why they're so good on Tuesdays, but I'll take his word for it. With such lofty praise for its predecessor, would a hardware upgrade be enough to renew interest in VR? In other words, would the Meta Quest 3 just be another VR headset, or would it have to be something more to beat burritos on Tuesdays? I mean, dude, I love burritos, and I love burritos like Monday, but Tuesday is tacos. Well, Meta isn't resting on their successes of the past. With a starting price of $499.99, this headset would not only offer significant generational upgrades, but also provide a platform for mixed reality experience as well. And that's something different. This all sounds amazing, and all of us here at Robeytech have been pretty excited for it. So let's unpack the upgrades, share our experiences, and talk about some things to consider if you're curious about the Meta Quest 3. And here's the deal, guys. You might want to grab your favorite beverage, a snack, a comfy couch, because we have a lot of ground to cover, especially if you're new to VR. We're gonna have timestamps in the description so you can skip around if you wanna get to the parts that are most important to you. With all that covered, are you good? Brian, are we good? Okay, do you have your burrito? Do you have your snacks? Okay, good. Let's sip that coffee and let's start with specs. The Meta Quest 3 comes in two modes. 128 gigabyte version for $499.99 and a 512 gig version for $649.99. For comparison, the Meta Quest 2 had a 128 gig and a 256 gig model that started at $299.99. There is a price bump, but we're gonna find out where the money went when comparing the two products. And the other thing too is, let's talk about storage a little bit later. All of it, though, starts with the processor. The Meta Quest 3 has the Snapdragon XR2 Gen 2 processor at its heart. I know people are probably surprised. What do you mean it's not AMD or Intel? That's right, Snapdragon. This processor offers double the GPU performance over Meta Quest 2, and it's supported by 8 gigabytes of RAM, which is 2 gigabytes more than the Meta Quest 2. For lenses, the Meta Quest 3 uses pancake lenses instead of the Frenzel lenses in the Meta Quest 2. Now, while these pancake lenses aren't part of a balanced breakfast, they do create a much clearer visual experience, especially in the center space. Speaking of clarity, the Meta Quest 3's display has a resolution of 2064 by 2208 pixels per eye, which is a 30% leap over the Meta Quest 2, and a pixel density of 1218 pixels per inch. The Meta Quest 3 runs at a refresh rate of 72, 80, or 90 Hz with an experimental option of 120 Hz in some applications. For mixed reality, the Meta Quest 3 has two RGB cameras which deliver high quality image pass-throughs. Meta says that these cameras are over 2 times the resolutions of the ones found in the Meta Quest Pro, making mixed reality feel more mixed in your reality. What isn't mixed reality is our hope that you'd slap that subscribe button, whip that like button, and ring that notification bell so that you don't miss videos like this right here on Robeytech. We'd love to have you be a part of our actual reality. Okay, so we've talked about the headset. Now let's talk about these controllers. The Meta Quest 3 has leaned away from the Oculus Touch controllers of the Meta Quest 2 while leaning a bit more towards the Meta Quest Pro Touch Pro controllers. The result is actually really cool and very functional. This is the Meta Quest Touch Plus controller with true touch variable haptic feedback and a ring-free design, which made Brian really happy because he was like, look, it doesn't have a ring. And then he ran around like Sonic and was like collecting rings. It was all very odd. Now back to the Meta Quest. See, here's the deal. If the hundreds of games, apps, and entertainment options aren't enough, the Meta Quest 3 can also be used with a PC using Meta's high-speed USB link cable, or here's the kicker, which actually blew my mind, you can also do it wirelessly with Wi-Fi 6E. And you know what? It actually works. Okay, now for the big question. what did you think of the Meta Quest 3? I'm just gonna say this up front. If you've tried VR in the past and shrugged it off, this thing will change your expectations of what VR can actually be. Also, if you've never tried mixed reality experiences, just stop what you're doing, find a friend with a Meta Quest 3, and play First Encounters. We had a ridiculous amount of fun with it. Thanks to the Meta Quest's built-in cameras, your room becomes ground zero for an alien invasion. The walls and the ceilings break open and an otherworldly landscape is shown around. And what you're left with is like a blaster, and you basically have to deal with invaders who are trying to invade your space. It's a good thing these were fuzzy, endearing kind of aliens and not the ones that want to eat your face, because honestly, if it was that, it would be very, very terrifying. Now, we did notice the cameras are a bit light sensitive, and guys, it's very hard to show this, but until you wear it, you'll kind of get an idea of what we're talking about. So in some situations, using mixed reality was like looking at a room through a webcam. Too much light and colors were actually getting washed out. Too little and the picture was grainy. The good news is that you're not gonna forget that your headset is on. And let me tell you, it's amazing what you can do with the latency when you actually have the headset on. Using your phone, working the TV, feeding your dog, petting Brian. Wait, no, maybe that was petting Brian, feeding your dog. But the point is, you can do everything with the headset on, and there's some really, really funny videos, and if you wanna check that out. Now, if I can geek out for a second, because watching the Meta Quest 3 map out a room is actually pretty amazing. When you launch an app, the headset will ask if you want to map your space. From there, the headset will identify walls and furniture. But let's just say you're finished mapping the space and you go into the VR space. Will the Meta Quest 3 let you walk into a wall like what happened to my friend when I was leading me that one time and then led me into the corner and I just bled everywhere? Nope, it won't do that. If you get near a boundary, you'll see a blue grid appear on the screen as you get closer, and it will turn red if you're getting close to hitting or walking into something outside of the mapped area. There were never any moments where we felt that ourselves, our family members, including our pets, or the stuff that we had was in danger. And if you walk outside of that boundary and say, for instance, you map it and then you walk outside of it, it actually changes from whatever the virtual area is to the actual new like webcam view we were talking about earlier. All of this is great because I'm a danger to myself without a headset, you know, because Danger is my middle name. Justin, Danger, awesome, big man, cool Robey. That's my full name. It's in there. Now, as for our VR experiences, we're not lying when we say that they were utterly stunning compared to what I am used to. The depth of color, lighting, and high refresh rates made games like Asgard Wrath 2 feel incredibly visceral. Whether crossing blades, running across walls, solving puzzles, or smashing pottery. That other one is a lot of fun. In lower lit settings, like some of the dark hallways in Red Matter 2, light and shadows felt on par with any desktop PC we've played. This is simple, but it was stunning to see how light reflected off the metal surfaces, revealing chips and imperfections in the metal grabbing claws. And let me just say, when you first land on that planet and you're standing on the precipice just looking at Saturn, or it might have been Jupiter, point is, it is absolutely jaw-dropping and blows your mind. Now, on top of the visuals, the soundscape created by the Meta Quest 3 feels full without being overwhelmingly loud. That's not to say that it can't get loud. The audio range, according to Meta, is 40% louder than the Meta Quest 2. But if you're looking to keep your experience to yourself, the 3.5mm audio jack works fine, and you can also connect Bluetooth headsets. Now, the experience was so good that Damien, who actually got a hold of one of these as well, was blowing my phone up to tell me how much better the Meta Quest 3 than anything that he had done in VR previously, which was Aladdin's Magic Carpet Ride at Disney Quest from the 90s. So it's not really a high bar. But thanks for telling me that, Damien, at 3 in the morning. Now, when it comes to setting up the Meta Quest 3 to work with your PC, there are a couple of different ways you can connect. Using the Oculus software for PC, you can connect via Wi-Fi 6 via AirLink or with a high-speed USB 3.0 Type-C cable like the Meta Link cable. I just think it's amazing that you can use things via Wi-Fi 6E and the experience is awesome. Once the Oculus Quest Link software is installed, it will prompt you through the setup process. It's decently intuitive on the PC side of things, but the settings were buried in the menus of the headset. You have to go into settings, then choose system, and then go to Quest Link from that menu. Once that slider is activated, the software will search your network for computers running Oculus, and you're on your way to connection. It's really not that bad. We make it sound worse, but hey, when it's in a script, it sounds bad and not impressive, but it is. Connecting to the Oculus app is great for accessing your PC, whether you're looking to use it untethered, for modifying hardware settings on the Meta Quest 3 itself, and for recording gameplay without taxing the headset's hardware. If you're going to use the headset with Steam, Valve makes it incredibly simple with the Steam VR app on both MetaQuest 3 and your PC. Once you have it installed, then you'll be prompted to enter a link code to pair the device, and boom, it's really that simple. And I'll be honest guys, most of the VR things that you're gonna do with the PC are gonna end up being on Steam VR. Now I imagine there are a number of you out there thinking, Robey, all of this sounds amazing, but how comfortable can this thing really be? Isn't it like having a brick strapped to your face? Kinda wanna go strap a brick to my face now to find out. But if that's you, let's talk a bit about comfort and the adjustments. Overall, the MetaQuest 3 is not terribly uncomfortable, but it does take some time to get it adjusted so it stays secure on your head. Thanks to the 3-point strap, ding, 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 we did find some of the adjustments that work for us, but we also found that there were things that it felt like we were wearing an athletic support strap on your face. Not anywhere else, please don't think dirty, guys. The headset itself is lined with like a soft fabric covered with padding that does help with comfort most of the time. But if the straps are too tight, this can create a lot of pressure around the eyes, which can cause some nasty headaches. This is where taking the time to adjust things to your comfort is vital. And if the stock strap isn't comfortable enough, there are a number of aftermarket options that switch up how the headset sits on your head. It's always good to have options. The one thing I am gonna say though, we're just gonna show you, no, I'm not gonna show you, but I'm just gonna tell you, when you put this thing on your head, it splits your hair, and it's really funny after you wear it that everybody's just got like, it's an inverse mohawk, Brian. It's pretty awesome. So let's just say now, after covering all of that stuff, which we have covered a lot, you wanna give the MetaQuest 3 a shot. And you're gonna finish this video and you're gonna go right down to the link in the description and you're gonna pick one up. First off, congratulations. We think you're going to enjoy it as much as we do. In fact, there were some naysayers in the Robeytech family and it blew their mind. In fact, my daughter was also one of them and she was super excited to continue to play. So after all that, here are a few user experience things that you need to know to have the best possible experience with the MetaQuest 3. Thing number one, if you are glasses wearer, like me, the MetaQuest 3 does a decent job of accommodating most frames. In fact, these frames I don't have an issue. Now we did try a few different styles of frames and most were decently comfortable. The headset has enough space to comfortably wear most eyewear without having them press right onto your face. But with some pairs, like the Ray-Ban Metas, which I have a prescription for, we did notice the seal wasn't as great and it caused some light to shine in from the bottom of the headset. But let's say you want to ditch the frames entirely. This is where there's some good news for glasses wearers like myself, and Brian, and Damien. And wait, do we all wear glasses? I think we all wear glasses, the entire Robeytech team. Meta has partnered with Zenni Optical and you can get prescription lenses specifically for the MetaQuest 3. And they cost not $200, not $500, but $50 for the pair. And they come with a nice carrying case and a cleaning cloth. Woohoo! Bonuses. It took about a week for them to get to us, and they were worth every single penny because it made the immersion so much better. Don't worry though, this isn't a permanent upgrade. That doesn't mean you can hand it to somebody who doesn't have glasses and go, I'm blind, what's going on? No, you can take these prescription lenses, pop them right over the existing ones, and then take them right off. It's super easy. Thing number two, take it slow. Especially if this is your first time in VR. Even if you don't typically get motion sickness, the experience can mess with your head. Think about it, your eyes are seeing you do something your body isn't. It's kind of surreal. So ease yourself into playing for a few minutes and then taking breaks often. Stay hydrated, use a fan to blow cool air on you, and avoid going from using the headset to another screen right away. It will genuinely mess with your eyes. Another piece of advice here, and guess what? You don't have to stand the entire time. You can actually take a seat. Some titles like Seventh Guest have settings for seated mode. Nothing wrong with kicking back in your favorite chair to enjoy an immersive experience. But I'll be honest, you're gonna wanna move, but again, I'm just letting you know it is an option. Thing number three, let's talk about storage. At this point, there's no way to expand the storage on the headset. Out of the box, we noticed that just under 18 gigabytes were taking up for the system and OS storage. That doesn't go unnoticed when you only have 128 gigabytes to work with. While the number of apps we checked out took up 2 gigabytes or less, there are heftier experiences. If you're using upgraded shaders for the MetaQuest 3, for an example like Assassin's Creed Nexus VR, that uses around 16 gigs. And Asgard's Wrath 2, which is pretty much the premier title for VR right now, that uses up 31 gigabytes of precious storage, like it was Santa Claus finding plates of cookies on Christmas Eve. It just gobbles it up. What we're getting is this. If you're comfortable with cycling titles off of your headset, the 128 gigabyte version will be fine for most people. But if you buy a ton of games and don't delete them until you finish them, you may want to opt for more storage space. And here's the deal, guys. Even with the faster Wi-Fi on this headset, it does take a while to download the really big games. I was really kind of bummed in how fast I ended up doing this and regret not getting the 512 gig version. Now, as we're winding down, this video wouldn't be complete without having some recommendations for some of the games you have to try. And we've mentioned a few already. Let's talk about the first one, Asgard Wrath 2. Basically, it's going bonkers, and it got almost a 10 on IGN, which is unheard of since another game we're going to talk about later. If you want a visceral hack and slash adventure in VR, this game has hours of it to offer, and it is absolutely stunning. If you buy the Meta Quest 3 before January 27th, Meta will throw in a copy with the headset. Guys, this is the must-try experience, and it was actually bought from the Meta Quest 3 studio. Red Matter 2. If you like sci-fi mysteries and Soviet-style iconography, you'll love Red Matter 2. With the most recent update, the game added a special shader pack for the Meta Quest 3 that takes advantage of the updated hardware. And let me just tell you, there is some jaw-dropping, planet-side stuff that's gonna happen that's gonna blow your mind. This one is my favorite. Seventh Guest. Now, if you're a fan of paranormal and puzzle solving, you are not going to want to miss out on The Seventh Guest. This eerie journey has you unraveling the mystery surrounding a fateful night, a strange invitation, and a manor house that holds way more stories than it seems. And honestly, exploring the house and solving puzzles in VRs is super fun. Beat Saber. At this point, Beat Saber is kind of a VR staple. It's a rhythm game and amazing music and lightsabers. Enough said. Let's talk about Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes. If you've ever wanted to be a part of a bomb squad in those intense moments of trying to figure out whether you should cut the red wire or the blue wire, Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes is the game for you. This one is a little bit different because you'll need someone on the outside of the headset to play along with you. After all, someone needs to read the 23-page manual to make sure you don't explode. Half-Life Alyx. When I talk about the other game that literally defined VR, this is it. This one is near and dear to our hearts because we love the Half-Life franchise, and again, it's stunning. Not only that, Half-Life Alyx has a number of quality of life settings for players easing their way into VR. And if you needed any more reasons or any more excuses to pick up this headset after everything we've just listed, Microsoft just announced that cloud streaming via Xbox Game Pass Ultimate will now be available on the Meta Quest 3, provided that you have a Bluetooth Xbox controller to use it with, which most of us do. The best part is, you don't even need the Xbox to use it though. Keep in mind, we're talking about cloud streaming here, so it's a viable option, but with some limitations to own, and there's plenty of videos for you to go check that out. We have covered a ton, but here's the brief of it. Our experience with the Meta Quest 3, it's been amazing. Seriously, if you have been avoiding VR, or you've held an opinion that VR needs more time in the oven to cook, which that was me, we recommend that you try it. Meta is really taking VR seriously. And if the Meta Quest 3 is any indication of the direction they're taking it, I cannot wait to see how they continue to build on this amazing headset that we have right here in our hands today. Again, we want to give a huge shout out to Newegg and Meta for sponsoring this video and giving us the opportunity to share our impressions of the Meta Quest 3. But we want to know what you think about it. Have you experienced the Meta Quest 3? And if so, what did you think? Did you try Asgard's Wrath 2? The fact that we have a 20+ hour RPG VR experience blows my mind. We'd also like to hear from you if you haven't checked out VR. So let us know all of that down in the comments below. Now, while you're down there, go ahead and slap that subscribe button, whip that like button, and ring that notification bell so you get a notification each and every time we post a video like this right here on Robeytech. Also, I would love to have you join us over at discord.gg/Robeytech to just talk about VR with, you know what, maybe a friend that you could make. And lastly, if you want to follow me, check me out at Robeytech absolutely everywhere. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one.